WTIM.
Welcome in to WTIM, your information station. I'm Tim Zalabak, your host of the WTIM Morning Show. Thanks so much to the sponsors that make these shows possible. People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better at Landmark. Over the phone line now, we have Andrew Holsinger, horticulture educator for the University of Illinois Extension. How are you today, Mr. Andrew Holsinger?
I'm doing very well.
Awesome. Thank you for taking the time today, and a very good time to be on with us today because we got some April showers, hopefully turning into some May flowers. If any of you have heard that out there before, but we're going to talk some spring gardening tasks. So what's first on the list there, Mr. Andrew Holsinger?
Talking about our perennials. So it's a good time for some cleanup of those perennial beds. The native insects have had a time to overwinter and plant debris, but our temperatures are getting consistently above that 50-degree mark, and you can remove some of that spent plant material. Some of those mulched perennials can maybe use some room to grow, so removing some of that dead foliage and just getting ready for the onslaught of spring as it's getting here. We have several things that are progressing, and pretty soon we'll have our irises blooming.
Wow, I love it. So getting rid of the excess there of the dead particles, the dead branches, excuse me. There, I mean, of course, is it better to trim those off than to let them kind of fall off and decay naturally?
Oh, one thing about plant material is it can harbor some diseases if it's and there's that natural decay process. So, talking about the vegetable garden, whenever you have the end of the season, you want to get rid of some of that plant material that's been left after the harvest. Get that material out of the garden so that way it can be maybe better utilized on the compost pile.
Yeah, absolutely. A good use for that. As we're talking about springtime and the temperatures changing, talk to me a little bit about different types of plants and their dormancy times during winter. We spoke recently with Gwen Podesky, a master gardener. She talked about some plants may not have had their total dormant stages during the winter. And in springtime, are you trying to rehab those plants? What does it look like there?
Yeah, there can be variability with the season. So sometimes we have plants that the chilling factor usually is met in Illinois, but that's one consideration is a chilling factor whenever you're looking at plants. But also you have the cold winter temperatures. So this year we've had a lot of cold winter temperatures, and so that affects some of the fruit trees because it was able to prevent those flower buds from surviving. So looks like the peaches have taken a hit as far as the survivability of those flower buds. So you have to look at the type of plant, and it especially comes into factor whenever you're starting seeds for dormancy. So some of your seeds and your native plants, like your milkweeds that are used for those monarch butterflies, they need a chilling period. So putting those in a refrigerated setting can simulate that cool season that they need in order to break their dormancy. So there are some tricks to bringing things out of dormancy. Sometimes we see bulbs that are forced earlier throughout the holidays and in the springtime. So you're seeing those that have been forced, and you get an early peek at some of those tulips and other bulb plants at your local stores.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for laying that out for us right there. We're speaking with Andrew Holsinger, horticulture educator for the University of Illinois Extension. Now back into some spring gardening tasks. You mentioned the trimming of the perennials up there on the number one on the list. What comes up next? What else are you focusing on here early in the spring?
Well, it is a good time for dividing perennials, and certainly that is a task that gardeners take into full effect around this time to divide those perennials, to transplant them. If perennials get too overcrowded, they tend not to flower as well. So you want to divide those perennials, get those transplanted into new containers, new places in the garden. The possibilities are endless with container gardening, and so as we proceed, you may be thinking about some container gardening, putting some color of annuals, possibly even perennials into those containers. So we have a lot of trials that go along with that in the state. And there's an idea garden in Champaign-Urbana that they trial various plants, and they have that information available so you can look at, see how their plants did throughout the season last year and get a gauge for what plant material you might want to plant in your own containers or own landscape.
Yeah, get some information there on something that's already been done and tested, and that you kind of just spoke on some of the test fields out there. And I just read a story about demo fields. Are there University of Illinois, and not just extension, but the actual University of Illinois, like farm agriculture fields that they're testing every single year based on harvest and trying to get out data to farmers?
There are research trials that go on, and we have some of those spread out throughout the state. But one of the ones locally for a lot of the testing that may go on is the Dudley Smith Research Farm.
Yeah.
So agronomically, we have a lot of research going on. Horticulturally, we have some trials that are done, various types of vegetables. I know that there's some pumpkins that are trialed, and to see what the best pumpkin may be. And so you can look to the University of Illinois Extension for information regarding these trials that have gone on. And often we have field days that is something you can look forward to on your calendar. Look for horticulture field days, twilight meetings across the state. Always good to hear the information that's coming out from the university and to find out what's going on in your own backyard.
Absolutely. And those Dudley Smith Farm field days you mentioned right there totally sound familiar to me, and another great opportunity for people to just go out there and get educated. We're talking spring gardening topics right now. Anything else on the list as you're thinking early gardening here for the spring, Mr. Andrew Holsinger?
Well, it is a good time to think about tree and shrub planting, but it may be a year that you might want to think a little bit further in your tree planting efforts, as we're going to have the periodical cicada emerging here shortly. And so for newly planted trees, these cicadas have a life cycle. We have 2 broods that are emerging. And so with those 13 and 17-year life cycles, they've overlapped this year. And so looking to mitigate some of their damage that they can pose to trees, you could use some netting to cover the trees, but it has to be covered all around the tree and the plant that you're trying to protect. So the netting has to have holes that are less than a ½ inch. What happens is the cicadas emerge, they escape from their shell, so to speak. They climb up the tree, and then they mate. And then the females deposit their eggs into the branches of trees.
Wow. I mean,
so they do have some preferred hosts, elm, chestnut, ash, maple, oak trees, as well as fruit trees. So it may be a consideration to maybe delay planting. They survive in their adult stage for 4 to 6 weeks. So just think about, if you're planting trees, that these cicadas are going to be emerging, and there's going to be quite a few of them.
Yeah, protecting your trees this year with the cicadas is a very hot button topic right now on certain parts of the internet. I've been venturing through. We're going to learn more about the cicadas this season and much more with Andrew Holsinger when we come back from our short timeout. I'm Tim Zalabak, your host of the WTIM Morning Show. Thank you so much to the sponsors that make the show possible: People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better at Landmark. You are listening to the WTIM Morning Show. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
Your information station, WTIM.
Let's check the markets now on the RFD Radio Network. I'm Jim Taylor. Corn slightly lower, beans lower, wheat trading higher. May corn down 3/4, 429.5. July corn down 2, 439. New crop December 462.5, down 2 1/4. May beans 11.44 and a quarter, down 5 and a quarter. July beans down 5 3/4, 11.58 and a half. New crop November 11.56, down 5 and a quarter. May Chicago wheat 5.42 3/4, up 5 3/4. July wheat up 5 3/4, 5.58. May bean meal 338.50, down 20 cents. May bean oil 44.84, down 16 cents. Livestock market, April feeders 240.75, up 32 cents. April live cattle down 30 cents, 180.60. May lean hogs 93.67, down $1.25. Energy market, May crude oil 82.77, up 8 cents. Jim Taylor on the RFD Radio Network.
People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, are proud to continue their long-standing sponsorship of honoring Taylorville High School Students of the Month on WTIM's many platforms on AM, FM, and streamed online, and on WMKR, Genuine Country 94.3.
Hello, my name is Jackie Cargill. I'm the son of Stephanie Melvin. I play football and baseball at THS, and I like lifting and spending time with my friends. My future plans are get a scholarship and start a business. My favorite subjects is history because I like learning about the war, and physics, learning how things work.
People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, salutes these great Taylorville High School students on this honor and wish them the best in their future. People's Bank and Trust, member FDIC. The Women, Infants, and Children, or WIC program offered by the Christian County Health Department is a supplemental nutrition program. It provides nutritional assessment, education, and health screenings to clients who are pregnant, postpartum, or breastfeeding, and infants and children to age 5. WIC also assists in providing medical, social, and developmental intervention. Supplemental foods are also available for both baby and mom. Stop by the Christian County Health Department across from Taylorville Junior High School and find out details. This program is funded through the Illinois Department of Human Services.
This is Jenny Turvey, manager of Rolling Meadows Senior Living in Taylorville. To learn more about our apartments, click on our icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Jansen's Heating and Air is the home of Dr. Comfort, focusing on customer care for heating and air conditioning across central Illinois for some 35 years. Find out their services, specials, and coupons by clicking their icon on TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Your information station, WTIM.
And welcome back to WTIM, your information station. I'm Tim Zalabak, your host of the WTIM Morning Show. Thanks so much to the sponsors that make it possible, People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better at Landmark. On the phone line, we have Andrew Holsinger, horticulture educator for the University of Illinois Extension. That first half, we're talking about the cicadas in this upcoming spring gardening time and the tasks to be had. And we're going to keep on this cicadas conversation here because, as I have been hearing, we're going to be in for some large populations of cicadas this year. Is that correct, Mr. Andrew Holsinger?
Yeah, that is correct. There are several broods that exist for the cicada, but we're looking at a year for periodical cicadas to emerge. We do have the annual or dog day cicadas that come out every year. They different broods emerge at different times of the year, and they have maps that have been developed. But we're also have the availability of documenting some of these cicada emergence and having citizen science efforts for these emerging cicadas. So whenever the ground gets to 64 degrees, they emerge. And the thing about their emergence that really can catch your attention is their singing. So in order to have the mating that they do, the cicadas, they can reach 100 decibels with their mating call. And so there's different types of mating calls for the various kinds of cicadas. And as I said before, they can lay eggs in trees. So adult females between 400 and 600 eggs.
Wow. That's
so
huge.
A lot of eggs, so it's thought that they really work up their populations so that way they can avoid total predation. So they saturate the area with these cicadas So there's a lot of animals that will gorge themselves and partake in the cicadas, and they even have cookbooks for humans. But you need to be alert that if you're allergic to shellfish, you don't want to be eating cicadas. So think about that. Get your skewers out, if you will. But it is something that people do partake of, is cuisine of the cicadas. So there are cookbooks that are available and recipes that are out there. But it will be an interesting time, no doubt, for the cicada emergence this year in 2024.
I thought you were making a joke there about the culinary aspect of cicadas, Andrew
No.
Holsinger, but no. Okay, that's a real acquired taste out there. You said there's even cookbooks dedicated to cicadas.
Yep, there'll be
Okay.
cookbooks and recipes and all the like.
Unbelievable. So, is there any concern that comes to your mind when you talk about these broods of cicadas that are kind of the epicenter sounds like it's going to be South Central Illinois this year? Any concerns that come to your mind?
They're not really a big concern. Like, there's not a really good purpose of applying pesticides to these, because they're part of the ecosystem. In doing some research, I found that they do have an effect on, like, the population or the masting effect of oak trees. And so in the years that they emerge, it's a less amount of acorns. And then a couple years after they've died and become part back into the ecosystem of nutrients, there's a boom in the masting cycle. So
Wow.
even the emergence of these, we may see an effect on the acorn production. There's all kinds of fascinating things of, like, how their sounds can be detected, and the soundscape kind of projects that they've had related to the eclipse. Well, they'll have some of those sounds resonating here with these cicadas for a while through their life cycle at that 100 decibels. So may have to prepare.
Sure. Even some positives coming with the emergence of these periodical cicadas this spring. We're speaking right now with Andrew Holsinger, horticulture educator for the University of Illinois Extension. You talked about an invasive. Now, while cicadas are not an invasive, you just talked to us about how they are natural to our ecosystem, but there is an invasive species symposium event coming up here. Can you talk to us about when this is and what's going to be happening at that?
Yeah, it's going to be on May 22nd in Champaign. And so if you're interested in invasive species, I have thoughts of, like, the spotted lanternfly, and be on the lookout for that, and how its host plant is an invasive plant of the tree of heaven, and it can pop up anywhere. I've seen it mitigated there at your radio station, and plenty of places that we have the tree of heaven around, and other invasives. And it's always a common battle for those bush honeysuckles. So good event to try to attend. You can look at the University of Illinois Extension website to get more details, but just wanted to bring that to your attention, of the Illinois Invasive Species Symposium on May 22nd.
Absolutely. That'll be a good one to attend if you're interested in that. And Mr. Andrew Holsinger, in our less than 2 minutes here, there's one more program we want to work out to the people here. I'm looking at a rain gardening program. That sounds like a good one. Talk to us, please.
Yeah, we have rain gardening essentials there at the Christian County office on April 24th. It's going to be an evening program at 5:30, so be sure to register. It will be free. And we also have our plant sale coming up with the Christian County Master Gardeners on May 4th, starting at 9 a.m. And so check out our website for additional details. And if you need to contact me by email, it's aholsing@illinois.edu.
Beautiful. Worked all that in perfectly here. We still have a little bit more time here, Andrew Holsinger, and you brought up the plant sale. We definitely did not want to forget about that. One more time with the date and time for that, and maybe if you could throw in just a little bit of the positives that the community can get out of that day.
Well, it's going to be on May 4th at 9 p.m. or 9 a.m.
Yep.
Excuse me, 9 a.m. Come early, don't come late, because the plants will be sold, as fast as they can be sold.
Yep.
1120 North Webster Street there in Taylorville. This plant sale goes for the projects that the Master Gardeners do, and their efforts to spread education of horticulture throughout the county. So feel free, if you have questions for the Master Gardeners. They'll be having their help desk opening in May, and they'll be there on a regular basis for your questions.
Absolutely perfect. Andrew Holsinger, we appreciate you taking the time today.
All right, good to be here.
Awesome. That was Andrew Holsinger, horticulture educator for the University of Illinois Extension. You've been listening to the WTIM Morning Show right here on WTIM, your information station.
The Big 870 WTIM Assumption Taylorville, 96.1 W241 CF Taylorville, 107.5 W298 CD Shelbyville, 107.9 W300 EH Payne and Nokomis.
Cancer nurse, a software engineer, an information technology professional, a sales professional, an English teacher, and 2 lawyers. 11 more people must still